Howdy, y'all. It is Friday. We made it through the week. Congratulations. It is time to jump into the news cycle in this Another Wright Brothers live on YouTube. So before I get started, please feel free to press that like button. It really does help with the algorithm, helps push this in front of more people's eyes, and that's the name of the game. So we appreciate those of you who choose to do that. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. Howdy, Keith. So today what we're talking about is Beto O'Rourke. I'm sorry, Robert Francis O'Rourke. So this individual unfortunately hails from the same state that me and my older brother call home, which is Texas, and he is out there in El Paso, Texas. What we want to talk about today, though, is this guy. He's fresh off of getting defeated in the Senate race, and now he thinks that because he lost in the Senate race, that now it's a good idea to run for president. I don't understand where that comes from, but Beto O'Rourke is actually kind of the gift that keeps on giving from a political standpoint, because what he does is he has quite a colorful track record, and I really want to disseminate some information around that today. We talk about due diligence on our channel all the time, and the thing is leading up to this 2020 presidential election, what we have to do is realize that different people have different backgrounds. We need to look into all of them. Obviously, we know the Democrats are obsessed with looking at everything that President Trump has done since birth, apparently. But it's important to make sure that we are fully aware of what these candidates are and what they purport to be. So to start off, obviously, anyone who doesn't know, Robert Francis O'Rourke, he back last year actually chose to run under the moniker Beto, and that was not by accident. So I think what's really interesting about his choice of how he named himself was because I do believe that he wanted to really reach out and have the Hispanic community coalesce around him. Now, we can say, that's great, that's terrible. What I don't believe in is pandering. There's too many politicians these days who pander to other people for the sole purpose of getting their vote without really doing anything for them. And I have a problem with that. But that's just the beginning. So we had all these Viva Beto events going on. I actually was fortunate enough to go to the President Trump rally in El Paso, Texas. And when we were there, this is a few weeks ago, Beto actually had a counter protest. He called it a counter protest. And let's just say that the attendance at President Trump's rally dwarfed Beto's event 10, 20, 30 times over. But with that being said, we're now going to jump into some of the more recent things that have come out about Beto since he decided unwisely to throw his hat into the ring. And I wonder if there's going to be an end to this, because the thing is, this just keeps almost getting better and better. And the first thing let's talk about is the fact that there's actually already been a groundswell of people from the Democrat side of the aisle, the women who we're talking about they're going to run for president or whatever, and they actually have started to take great offense to the disproportionate coverage that Beto O'Rourke has received. So as we see, the left is already starting to kind of eat their own, and it's bearing itself out in that fashion. But they're upset because, we had Amy Klobuchar up north announcing her presidential candidacy in a blizzard. Elizabeth Warren has been pounding the pavement, and they're all now upset because Beto is basically stealing their thunder. So we'll see how that all plays out. But the story gets even better because, obviously, for those of you who don't know, Beto O'Rourke does have somewhat of a checkered past. He has actually he had two charges against him, one for DWI, and the allegation is that he actually did flee the scene after this accident that occurred because of his DWI. And he also had a misdemeanor burglary charge on his record. Now he got those expunged, and in later times he's talked about, I guess with my privilege and where I was at in life, I was able to get out of it, but now I want to reach back and help people who didn't. So, and now he has people, because of those comments that he made, saying that those comments he made smacked of white privilege. So you see how the circular reasoning that the left really clings to seems to come back and bite them where in the days and weeks that follow their crazy proclamations. But the story gets even better because there was a Reuters report that came out that said back when Beto O'Rourke was 15, and granted, I'll give him, he was 15 when he did it, but that he was actually part of a hacking group, and that he actually was writing very base stories under the name Psychedelic Warlord. I can't make this up. I'm going to read some of the excerpts of what he was writing about back in the day, just so you can kind of get a little bit more into his head. All right, so bear with me. And this is from a Reuters report. So says one piece of his writing in particular detailed the narrator, Robert Francis O'Rourke's murder spree as part of his goal seeking, quote, the termination of everything that was free and loving, end quote. The piece described his first kill as the murder of 2 children crossing the street. And I'm just reading this to you because I want you to know what you need to know about this individual, all right? Bear with me. It reads, this is his piece, then one day, as I was driving home from work, I noticed 2 children crossing the street. This is 15-year-old Robert Francis O'Rourke. They were happy to be free from their troubles. I knew, however, that this happiness and sense of freedom were much too overwhelming for them. This happiness was mine by right. I had earned it in my dreams. As I neared the young ones, I put all my weight on my right foot, keeping the accelerator pedal on the floor until I heard the crashing of the 2 children on the hood. I was so fascinated for a moment that when after I'd stopped my vehicle, I just sat in a daze, sweet visions filling my head. My dream was abruptly ended when I heard a loud banging on the front window. It was an old man who was using his cane to awaken me. He might have been a witness to my act of love. I was not sure, nor did I care. It was simple ecstasy. As I drove home, I envisioned myself committing more of these acts of love, in quotes, and after a while, I had no trouble carrying them out. The more people I killed, the longer my dreams were. I had killed nearly 38 people by the time of my 23rd birthday, and each one was more fulfilling than the last. If that doesn't disturb you, the thing is, obviously, when we were children, we all did crazy, silly things that obviously we should go back and take back as we get older and more mature. But to have those thoughts and then put those thoughts in writing and publicize that writing, that shows a type of bravado that we typically don't see from most people. So say what you will about his mental state. Granted, he was 15 when he wrote that, but I find that very troubling because now we see Beto going out and he's doing the whole kissing babies routine and trying to ingratiate himself with the electorate. And what's funny, though, is you are not going to hear, as Let's Be Frank just said, the left doesn't care about stuff like this. They really don't. While we have this information, this prose from Robert Francis O'Rourke, which is disturbing, I don't care who you are. And on the other side, we've got the liberal media completely unhinged, talking about, the Mueller investigation, there's Russian collusion, all of which has not yielded any fruit. So it's funny where the microscope tends to be for the left side of the aisle, for the mainstream media in general. Anna, you're correct. Too many on the left do have the same visions. That's unfortunately true, as we've seen with their endorsement or tacit endorsement of abortion and the like. But without getting too far off topic, I just really want y'all to remember that due diligence is key, because I didn't know this. I had to actually go and find this information because it was not going to be told to me on the evening news. But we need to make sure that we are aware of who people are now and what people were like in the past, because it all paints a picture about what kind of person this person is. Now, obviously, we know that President Trump even had his missteps. And the thing is, you can't necessarily judge a person completely based off of their missteps, but they are important because they help you understand what kind of person these individuals purport themselves to be. So I want to know, what are your thoughts? I appreciate the engagement. I see the comments rolling in, but I try to stay on message as best I can. I agree, Mr. Free. The debates are going to be something special. I can't wait to see what comes of them. But I do want us to all remain circumspect. These are really interesting times, and I think that in order for us to show ourselves to be citizens that are willing to do their research, we have to be willing to ask these difficult questions, dig deep, and find information in sources that you might not have otherwise gone to, because the information is out there. It's up to us to actually go and cultivate it. So I want to know, what are your thoughts? Share your thoughts down below. I hope you enjoyed it. It's just a short video. I try not to be too long-winded here. It's just, it's a Friday night. Y'all have things to do. I have things to do. It's St. Patrick's Day weekend. I get it. But I do want to make sure that we are coming to you on a regular basis and just sharing our thoughts, because it is important for people to realize what's going on in the world of politics, because it never stops. We'll see what Beto does. I'm sorry, Robert Francis O'Rourke does. Psychedelic Warlord does in the future. But until next time, let me know your thoughts. Share this video with your friends if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed to us already, and we'll have another production coming up next week. But until next time, thanks and gig 'em.